Hey yo, what is going on, you guys? It's your boy, AceoxReacts! And I'm back. I'm back with another reaction. Finally. But before we get into it, let me quickly bring you up to speed in case you didn't know. I had a lot of trouble with my hard drives and everything and my backups, and I wanted to upgrade my system and realized, damn, my goddamn PC is way too old for all the new stuff. And so I made the hard decision to buy a new one, and it was expensive as hell. And well, for the past week or so, I've been busy transferring all my files from my hard drive and my old PC to my new one, and organizing stuff and everything, and installing programs, plugins, all that good stuff. Yeah, and finally, it looks like I am done, and I can finally, about damn time, I can resume recording reactions and hopefully quickly find my way back into my usual upload routine. But yeah, that's basically what was going on in the past week or so. Technically, I still uploaded a video even though I wasn't able to record new stuff because I still had one left. Yeah, and I edited that video quickly and uploaded it, and yeah. But I don't know if it'll work out like that with this one as well. Might be too close of a call because I'd have to upload it tomorrow, and I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna be able to record a couple of videos and edit an entire video in just one day. So yeah, probably gonna miss my upload schedule, but at least Sunday I should be back on track with everything. But yeah, since I got a new PC, I don't know if everything works the way it did before. I hope so. I hope no lag spikes. I hope no compatibility issues. I hope no weird stuff happening. If it does, then I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to fix it, of course. But yeah, it is what it is what I'm trying to say. Sniffing ass and penis all day. But I'm not gay. I'm just that way. Bars! Fucking bars! Yeah! But yeah, we're back with another reaction. Another reaction to a video by Crescendex. And, well, guess what? A thing happened which I did not expect, and that was Crescendex actually responding to one of my reactions in the comments of that video and suggesting this video. Yeah! This video called The Desire to be Remembered by Crescendex was actually recommended by Crescendex himself. Yeah! I'm going places, guys! I'm going places with this channel. No, but I'm really excited because the topic seems to be right up my alley. It's about, well, the desire to be remembered. And in the thumbnail, I think it said the fear of being forgotten, if I remember correctly. So yeah, it's a topic I've talked about in my last Crescendex reaction quite extensively. You know, my fear of, well, being forgotten over time. Because I said it in that video, and I'm gonna say it again. People are not going to remember you. At some point, the second death is going to take full effect and people will forget about you. And that's what's scary to me. You know, all the people who struggled through hardships throughout the history of mankind, and we don't even remember them. Because even if there are recordings of some people, the majority of people are just, you know, forgotten. And that's scary to me. So yeah, this video is going to be probably, I'm guessing, I haven't seen it yet, obviously, is probably going to be about that sort of thing, you know, and maybe a more hopeful approach, like, you know, the things we try to be remembered, even though it's kind of pointless, because no, you're not gonna be remembered, unfortunately. But we can all try, right? Yeah. Definitely. And I want to be remembered as the guy that eats ass. Hell yeah, brother. So yeah, before we start, like always, go into the video description, click the first link in the video description under the credits tab to get to the original video by Crescendex. Leave him a like, leave him a comment, tell him, no matter what, I will remember you. Hashtag, let's make out. Yeah, tell him that, and obviously subscribe to him. He deserves it. I really like his videos so far, and I'm excited to see what this video is going to be like. But the things I'm expecting, my expectations are high, because it's Crescendex. Dude, we know him by now. He's really good at making stuff. And philosophizing. I don't know, philosophy, but as something you do. The version, the philosophy, philosophizing. Oh, that sounds wrong. That sounds wrong. What the hell? But anyway, he's good at that, and I like that. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm fucking ready to go. So without further ado, let me quickly scroll up and zoom out for you. There we go. So finally, without further ado, enough yapping already. Here we go! I'm angry. I sound angry. Let's go.
Who was the first person to ever be photographed?
Me.
What did it look like? Who was it? What was the context? The answer isn't what you would expect.
It's not that
Surely,
this guy.
the first
Oh,
person
okay.
to ever be photographed was a king, a queen, a conqueror, a ruler, someone with so much influence that they would represent every photo of every person ever photographed after them.
Oh,
But
probably
it's
just a
not that.
random person.
It's not that at all. The first photograph of a human, the first time a human was ever frozen in time in not a painting, but a true image, a true reflection of reality.
I don't like where this is going.
An artist, an unbiased, unfiltered look at a human being, was in this photo taken in 1838. See him? The photo
Oh,
had
yeah.
an exposure time of 7 minutes, so this stationary person shining his shoes was the only one that was visible and not a ghostly apparition or blur from people who were moving.
Damn.
We do not know who this random Parisian was. They did not know that they just so happened to be the first human ever photographed. There's something so interesting about a photo. We've been painting for at least 40,000 years now, depicting reality based on whatever the artist wanted it to be.
Yeah, that's. I totally get why the indigenous people thought that taking a photo of someone would steal their soul or something like that. Because it definitely, I don't know, I still can't wrap my head around how making a photo even works, you know? How the hell do you capture a moment so accurately, like, at all? How does it work? Because, you know, we got recordings as in drawings and stuff and writing and everything, but that's all subjective, you know, all subjective to the person that made that type of art and probably embellished and touched up and all that stuff. But a raw photograph is, you know, just a capture of a moment in time, an objective capture instead of a subjective one, and that's, if you think about it, that's insane, man. Even our memory isn't able to properly capture a moment in time and remember it, but a photograph can. A goddamn camera can take a photograph, and the photograph is gonna show you that exact moment in time. How? That's damn. I mean, I get the science behind it, but the idea, you know, that, I don't know, it's kind of mind-blowing that reality allows something like that. Let's put it like that, because, you know, it sounds fantastical. Like flying. Yeah! We can't fly unless, you know, we use a goddamn device or plane. But we can't fly on our own, you know, just flapping our arms and stuff. And capturing a moment in time like that so accurately seems like it should be breaking some laws of nature, but it doesn't. Why not? I don't know. I want to know. Tell me, why did nature think, hey, yo, let's make that possible? I mean, it's cool, don't get me wrong, but it sounds wrong. It sounds like something that shouldn't be possible. That's my 5 cents, my 50 cents, my $2 about that. Yeah.
We're having a true, unbiased look of events in the past. A photo
Exactly.
captures a moment in time before it can get away. It's confirmation that the past did in fact happen, that these strangers hundreds of years ago did in fact exist. That's what's so fascinating about seeing videos of these times.
Oh yeah, I find that kind of depressing though.
These were real people, just like you and me. They actually wore
We
these.
know none of them.
Actually looked like that. These aren't actors or movie sets. These are real people. It feels almost impossible. These are images and videos of a time that no longer exists. A time
and they don't even exist anymore.
peering into it feels wrong. There's something so unsettling about photos of times and places and people that no longer exist. This footage of a city in modern-day Ukraine in 1982 looks so normal. It's cheerful.
Damn, okay.
Railroads whiz by us in a moving car. People are smiling, children are playing, urban planners in the city are being interviewed about planting more trees. But behind all of this normality exists an ugly truth. This cheerful city was the city of Pripyat in modern-day Ukraine.
Ah, damn.
4 years before the largest nuclear disaster in history, the Chernobyl reactor meltdown, which turned this quaint city into a ghost town plagued with radiation. Radiation that won't disperse for another 20,000 years.
Jesus.
Pripyat you see in these videos doesn't exist anymore. Right now,
That's a weird feeling.
But through videos and photos, we see how oddly normal it was. Every smiling face and public event is overshadowed by an inevitable death of a place the inhabitants were blissfully ignorant to. There's such a fascination in remembering these things. Remembering the 1800s, remembering places before disasters. Memory, especially in the form of photos and videos, is so damn interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just sad that, the technology that didn't exist earlier. I mean, I'd love to see what the Dark Ages, what they actually looked like. Because I know we got drawings and stuff and descriptions in texts we found and all that good stuff. But it's usually, from the perspective of that person and not really that accurate. And I just wish, that we could see more of the past. Not just, 100 years. More. I want more. More! Please! But unfortunately, that's not in the cards. But that's what's so intriguing to me. I don't care about the, footage of the 40s or something like that. I care more about the way older stuff, like the first recordings ever. The first audio recordings, the first video recording, the first picture, all that good stuff. Because it's usually in the 1800s, in the late 1800s. But still, 1800s, that's, if you think about it, that's damn. And just, watching that, and it gives me this weird feeling I described in my last reaction to Crescendix video, where I talked about the collectible Playboy magazines, those really old ones in the Mafia 2 game, and how it gave me this weird feeling of seeing a person in their prime that is most likely dead by now, like that. It gives me a weird feeling. And watching footage and stuff and looking up that stuff of early 1900s or even the late 1800s, it's just so damn intriguing to me, but it gives me also this weird feeling I just explained, It feels wrong. It feels, like I mentioned in the beginning, it feels to me it shouldn't be possible, and that's why I get this weird feeling, because a person does no longer exist, the place doesn't look anything like it anymore, and still we got something that shows us an accurate depiction of the place and the people of that time. And that's kind of spooky and sad, but also really intriguing as fuck. Hell yeah.
It all has to do with our inherent desire to remember things, to know what these bygone eras looked like, to remember the people who existed in them, to remember what the world looked like, what it sounded like, how it felt to be alive in a time that no longer exists.
I want to know what it smelled like.
Essential theme in the game Season, A Letter to the Future. It's a game all about remembering, all about these documentations of the past. Only, you're not the one uncovering it. You're the one documenting it.
Oh, okay.
A dying world. A world that is about to be rid of what came before it. Each era of Season's world has its own separate season. A season of war, a season of modernity, a golden season. After your best friend has a prophetic dream about the apocalyptic end of the current season, an end that will completely erase the memories of everyone, you leave your village. The first to do so in a long time, equipped with a camera, a recording device, and a scrapbook. The main objective of the game is to record.
Sounds interesting.
Right now, taking photos on your camera, recording audio on a microphone, and arranging these things in each page of your scrapbook before the world ends. There are no threats.
Damn.
There are barely any puzzles. Just you, a bicycle, your supplies, and a dying world. The task feels almost impossible. The ultimate fate of the world is so daunting. The situation our main character, Estelle, is in is so terrible. Estelle's objective seems hopeless. How can one possibly document this much stuff? It will never be complete. It will never be perfect. You can never describe what it is truly like to live right now. So many versions of right now, it's impossible. Any attempt to do so is absolutely futile. And yet, our main character still tries.
The determination.
Record audio and fold these things neatly into your scrapbook with the faint hope that maybe someone will at some point in some unknown future find it and remember. Her reaction to the end seems...
And that's something I think makes it just so sad seeing all that stuff. Because, my grandpa made pictures of the city and everything I still live in. And, there was a cool capture of what it was like throughout the years, living in the city. And unfortunately, I think my mother or my grandmother threw it away at some point. And it's pretty much gone now. It's gone. it's lost. And there were a lot of pictures of, you know, early days of the city and this area, and it would have been so interesting to see. But yeah, that's the thing I'm trying to explain. You know, I can leave stuff behind, but I feel like most people won't care, you know? It's a person you don't know about, or a place or anything, and you don't hold the same sentimental value for stuff, and that's why I don't really want to leave something behind, because if it's something I care about, just imagine someone, I don't know, your granddaughter or something, or grandson, being like, I don't care about that, and throws it away. At that point, you just gotta ask yourself, why the hell did I collect that stuff? Why did I keep it if no one cares? God damn it. So yeah, I find it fascinating to see people so determined to do something I feel like is going to be wasted at some point, you know? But I definitely respect them for doing so, because unlike me, they're at least doing something. Even if it feels hopeless to me or feels pointless, because someone is gonna find it and not care about it and throw it away or destroy it or do whatever. And yeah, that's why I thought when he talked about that, so I wanted to talk about my point of that. Think it's not, at least not worth my time to do, you know, such daunting tasks, take up such responsibility for something probably no one will care about in the future, except a couple of you like us who are interested in seeing the past and stuff like that and learning more about the past. Yeah.
It's nearly confusing. So you find out the world is ending, and everything right now will die, and a new season will come about from the ashes. You will cease to remember anything or anyone, and your reaction isn't to stay home with your family and spend your final days together, or start doing whatever you want in the face of annihilation. What you want to do is to let someone that might not even exist potentially find it?
Yeah.
Why does she do this? Why does she record this time on Earth?
Yeah, why the struggle?
Priority. Why does she trust that her scrapbook will survive an unknown number of years into the future? Why does she trust that anyone will ever find it?
She has hope.
That anyone will even care?
Faith.
Who is Estelle even doing this for? She doesn't know.
Yeah.
The desire to preserve this time in history is so strong that it goes beyond all reason. Her fear of being forgotten feeds someone else's desire to remember. The majority of season takes place in Tiang Valley, a valley that will be completely flooded the following day. The valley has mostly been evacuated.
Damn, okay, in just a day.
If not the last person to see it. There's such a palpable sense of mourning in Tiang Valley. That sense is prevalent throughout the entire game, but in Tiang Valley especially. It will not only be a victim of this memory death, but also a physical one as well. Going through Tiang Valley is like attending a funeral. Every large structure, every weirdly named cow, every mystical tree, every home adorned with decorations of a past that will never be realized again, will all be under a mile of water by daybreak. Gone.
But it still exists.
But you still can't help but smile at the journey. You take your photos and record your audio and enjoy the company of those weirdly named cows. It feels like a real place. A place where memory has literally crystallized. A place where flowers can tell the stories of eras past, and no one will ever see it again. The most interesting part about Tiang Valley, at least to me, is its religion. There are various shrines to different gods all throughout the valley. There's the Tide, the god of dreams, the Din, the god of memory. And then there's the Void, the god of forgetting.
Damn, okay, they have a god for that too?
Tide gives you a strange dream where your mother talks to you. Din gives you a memory that doesn't belong to you. Void? Well,
it makes you
Void
forget.
Doesn't give you anything. Instead, it takes something from you.
Yeah.
If you choose to interact with the god of forgetting, unlike the other two, you don't gain any new knowledge. You forget something. You forget your own name. As Estelle describes, when a memory leaves you, for a moment you feel the absence, but then it fills itself back in. I wonder if anyone would feel the absence of this season if it wasn't recorded in the scrapbook. At one point you come across this beautiful forest, strung with lighting, and with various statues. Eventually you find who made them, an old artist unsatisfied with her work and the life she spent on it. She claims she'll leave the valley eventually, but it's hard to tell if she's being truthful or if she wants to be buried with her works. What would happen if I wasn't here to capture this? Nobody would remember any of this. And that's a scary thought. What if nobody remembered the space you're in
I agree.
now? What if one day your childhood bedroom, the place you had your first kiss, the playground you went to as a kid was taken away, simply forgotten? It seems almost unfair, unjust.
Yeah.
This will happen to everything.
And that's why I find it so depressing, you know, thinking about that sort of stuff. The inescapable thing that is escaping being forgotten, or, you know, the opposite, trying the impossible of being remembered forever. Is especially what makes it depressing to me is the fact that, you know, we all struggle. We all have to deal with hardships and everything and go through a lot of tough times. And while it is a really good thing that we somehow managed to get through it and come out on the other side, you know, as the victor, people forgetting or not knowing about the history of everything, forgetting about your struggle to begin with, makes me wonder, like, what's the point? If only I remember how much I struggled through stuff until I'm dead, and then no one will even know or care. That's just, you know, it gives me a feeling of, I don't know, is it apathy or something like that. And yeah, and then usually I try to calm myself down and focus on something else, because I realized a long time ago, who cares about the past or the future? Let's just live in the now. Here and now. We got this beautiful chance of being alive, this one-time chance, so let's make the most out of it and try to be as happy as we can and enjoy our life as much as we can, because it's not gonna last. It's not gonna last. That's a fact, and let's just accept that. Let's accept that, not get discouraged by it, and instead do everything we can to enjoy this life. And when death comes eventually and everything happens, people forgetting about you, the world forgetting about you, history forgetting about you even, just embracing it, I guess. Yeah, it's of course easier said than done, but that's pretty much the way I live right now. I try not to think about stuff I can't really change, like death, for example. I don't think too much about death because I can't change it. It's gonna happen at some point. It may happen too early, maybe even too late at some point. I don't know. It could be it happen normally, could happen by the hand of someone else, or a freak accident or something. It's not something I have control over and not something I can change. So I'm not gonna waste my time worrying about it because I can't change it. So instead, I'm gonna enjoy the time I got left and just embrace the fact that it'll end one day. It's out of my hands. It's not in the cards for me to live forever, and maybe that's a good thing, because eternal life is actually a lot scarier to me than death or being forgotten. Yeah, and so that's what I'd like to pass on to everyone who's watching right now. Just, you know, if that sort of stuff scares you, just know that I personally think if everyone thinks about that too much, they all get scared of it, like that. I think it's a universal fear. So you're not alone. And what I want to tell you is just accept it, that it's gonna happen at some point. You cannot change it. And maybe it's for the best that you can't change it, because eternal life is a lot scarier than it sounds at first. Trust me. And instead, spend your time with your loved ones. Make the most out of the life you've got and be happy. Yeah, be happy. And if you're like me, jack off until the fucking sun goes down and goes up again. Make jerk off session that lasts for fucking months. No, not November. More like, no, not November. Instead of not nodding, you do it like me. And you nut every goddamn second throughout November. Being in a perpetual state of nutting. That is life, ladies and gentlemen. That is life. And that's why it is beautiful. It's a never-ending cycle of jerking off and feeling regret and having post-nut clarity. Yes, that sounds a lot more depressing than I thought. A perpetual state of post-nut clarity doesn't really sound like something that's good, but I don't care. I don't care. I'm gonna keep jerking off. Yeah, that's me. That's the AceoX way. If you want to join the AceoX way, you first gotta join my cult, though. It's called the Cult of Perpetual Nutting. Fucking... What am I talking about, man? I don't even know. God damn it. I'm yapping on, but yeah. I like these topics because there's a lot that can be thought about and talked about and found out about and stuff like that. I personally like philosophical stuff in general because it is so open-ended. It's not like religion or science, you know, religion having these, in my opinion, made-up rules which are pretty set in stone, and science having these proven set in stone rules like laws of nature and stuff like that. But philosophy is just, you know, it's a topic you can ponder endlessly about. You can go as deep or as shallow as you want, and that's why I like it. That's why I gravitate towards, I think, Crescendic's content so much, because it fulfills the need I have of pondering philosophical topics and combining them with games. Yeah, that's what I like. And I'm gonna take a short break because I've been yapping for 35 minutes. Jesus Christ, 35 minutes, even though I'm only 8 minutes in. Damn. Like I always do. I give up. It's not gonna get better. I'll probably be the king of yapping for the rest of my life. But you know what? I'm gonna accept it. I'm gonna accept it and jerk off to that. Hell yeah, cause that's what life is all about. Hashtag swag. Hashtag no YOLO. Yeah, bars. Alright, see you in a second. I gotta take a quick break. Alright, I'm back. And I just thought about something while I was vaping, like AceoX style. What am I talking about? I don't know. But I thought about something. I think the reason why I like philosophical topics and diving into it and stuff like that is mainly because I can see the beauty in stuff that isn't beautiful or good or nice or stuff like that. You know, like death. Death is a sad thing. It's inevitable. We're gonna die at some point. Everyone is going to die, and it can be scary, it can be sad, but also it's kind of beautiful. It also has a weirdly beautiful side to it. You know, there's this saying of all good things have to end at some point, and I find that concept still scary, sad, but also beautiful, because you know it's not going to last forever. It's going to be like a snapshot in time, and eventually it's going to end, and people won't remember my good times because they didn't experience it. I did. So yeah, I think there's a sad and scary, beautiful side to all these topics, and I think that's why I'm so interested in this sort of stuff. Or it could be because my mom loves philosophy too. She has a lot of books, and we talk a lot about philosophical topics and stuff like that. Just, you know, for the hell of it. We have no real reason. We just do that. And I just find it interesting, you know, just thinking about a topic not in a black and white way, like it's good or bad, but instead, you know, finding even positive stuff in negative stuff and vice versa, and thinking about topics that are just not possible, at least for me to answer. And so it's quite fun to think what could be, trying to interpret it, like interpreting art. I find that cool. And as you probably know, I have difficulty putting my thoughts into words and have it make sense. And I think that's also a reason why I like, you know, the interpretiveness of philosophical topics as well as art and life itself, because you can interpret it in so many different ways. And if you create something yourself, like art, like for example me, I made music. I'm still trying to make music, but I'm kind of in a creative rut, so yeah. But I hope I'll get back to making music. The beauty about music is that you can interpret it however you like. It's so open-ended. You can pretty much take a song that goes like, you know, like shitting in your ear, and you can analyze it and everything and come to your own conclusion what it means and what it could represent. And you know, you can turn something that's, if you look at it from the surface perspective, looks like shit, sounds like shit, is probably shit, also made out of shit and stuff like that, and just, you know, see it in your own way, in your own colors, you know, like a filter. Put a filter on it. Put your own filter on it. And that's why I like interpretive stuff and open-ended stuff. And philosophy covers that, because what's more open-ended than life? Pondering about life, or pondering about death, or pondering about why we are here, of existence itself, and all that good stuff that comes with it, as well as the bad stuff, and the meh stuff, the meh, like a sheep, meh. Yeah, I think that's why I like it. I just wanted to analyze my own love for these things. So if you don't care, then fuck you. Fuck you. I know, you're just here to either listen to Crescendex talk about interesting stuff, or me reacting to it and then making penis jokes. So I get it. If I talk about this stuff, you're probably feeling unsatisfied. So here's a penis joke for you. If you're here for my penis jokes, like I mentioned. Small penis. Awesome. Small hard penis. And big balls. And huge, humongous, gigantic ass balls. Hairy like the hair on the top of my head. And I have a lot of hair. A lot of long hair. Very dense. And my balls hang all the way to the ground. All the way down to my ankles. Sometimes I trip over my own balls. That's how big they are. Alright, I was satisfied now. Okay, now let's shut the fuck up, calm down, and continue with the video, because I want to know more about this game and the themes it represents. So take it away, Crescendex. I'm sorry for just interrupting you to make penis jokes, but that's me. That's AceoX. That's why we all hate AceoX. No, we all love him, right? You all love me? Yeah. I have a small penis. I'm better than you. Fuck you.
Tiang Valley isn't alone. Your bedroom, your home, your favorite place to eat will all someday cease to exist. Be remembered by no one. I guess looking at it through that lens, I understand why no matter the odds stacked against her, Estelle still wishes for someone to remember, even if it isn't her. That this time she grew up in, both grand and insignificant, ought to be.
I think it's really a human thing to wanting to struggle, you know, wanting to change something that's not possible to change, you know, something that's inevitable, that's going to happen anyway. And I think there's something really human about it, wanting to swim against the flow, you know? Still trying, even if you know that what you're doing is pointless or impossible or whatever, still wanting to try and achieve the unachievable. I think it's the most human thing I can think of.
To be recorded for the sake of memory. As a result, every grand view I saw and snapped a photo of, every story I heard from a local, every sound from every animal I heard was all recorded. But that's the beautiful irony of the game. You don't need to record a lot. You just need 5 things to complete a page. And yet my pages looked more like this, simply because of my refusal to let this place be forgotten. There's a decision you make as you leave Tiang Valley. It's not a mandatory one. It's not even one a lot of people will get. But it's the emotional peak of the entire experience, at least in my opinion. Near the end of your journey in Tiang Valley, a kid offers to give you a tour of the place one last time. If you follow him and go on the entire tour, you eventually get to his father's grave. A grave that, within hours, will end up underwater. The kid, Kochi, tells you how it happened. He was there with him. You want to tell him the fate of your own father who went missing. Maybe it'll comfort him, make him feel like he's not alone. But then the game hits you with a decision. You must decide whether to record your conversation or keep it private. Despite Estelle's only being to share everything with the future, she feels like this is private. She hasn't been letting things pass for the whole game, capturing them through photographs and audio at the expense of so much. And now you have to concede to wiping this memory clean off the face of the earth.
Alright, that's an interesting decision to make. I did not expect that, but that's damn. But some things definitely don't need to be recorded. I think the best example for that would be when I was in a mental health hospital. We had like therapy where we went into a goddamn remote area, forest and stuff like that, and just took it all in. You know, no talking, no thinking, no recording, no anything. Even if we found some really cool looking stuff, we weren't allowed to record it. We were there just to experience it, be in the moment, live in the moment, and have these things live in our memory rather than in wherever we would have recorded it, in a phone or on the internet or anything. And I think a lot of things don't need to be remembered in a, you know, concrete set in stone way, like video or audio recordings or text or whatever, and should just, you know, be shared between people, you know, in the memory of different people. But yeah, that's an interesting conundrum, if that's the correct word. Having to decide if this should remain private or if you want to record it as well so it is remembered. Interesting choice. I gotta admit, I did not expect that. I don't know what I thought. Oh, but that's interesting. It gets my imagination going, because now I'm thinking about why. If you don't record it, why? You've been recording everything else, right? Why not that? And thinking about it, you know, coming up with reasons why and why not is really what I love about these topics, because I don't know, it just gets you going, you know, it gets the imagination flowing, trying to rationalize either decision and trying to figure out what's the right and wrong way to approach this and stuff like that. Yeah, that's very interesting. I am surprised that this game offers this choice, because I thought it's just about, you know, like Pokemon Snap, just going around taking photos of stuff and that's it. But no, that's it. Now I see that this game has some layers to it. That's cool. That's cool.
You are now the judge, jury, and executioner of this very moment. Is the moment frozen in time, or do you just let the present be the present and let it pass?
Yeah.
I was here for minutes wondering what to do. Focus on my goal of recording everything, or leave something personal out of the history books. I chose to record. Because I, like Estelle, have grown fond of recording. Every page I've obsessed over, every photo I've tried to get just right, every snippet of audio, I wasn't just ready to let this moment slip away.
Ah, interesting. Okay. I did not expect that he would take that choice. I personally would have decided to not record it. Mainly because, like I mentioned, I think some things don't need to be recorded. You know? Some stuff makes sense, but I don't know. It feels like something that's not necessary to record, but necessary to have as a conversation, you know, that this happened between those two characters, that they were talking about this and stuff like that, but it doesn't need to be recorded, is what I personally think. But that's the beauty of choices like that, because I personally think there is no right and wrong way to choose. It's just it's subjective, you know. But yeah, I thought he would choose to keep it private as well, like me, but I guess not. I get where he's coming from, because he documented a lot, as he explained. He just needs 5 things or something like that, right? And he instead documented everything. So maybe my decision would probably might even change if I played that game as well. I don't know, maybe, you know, doing all that work changes how I view that stuff. Could be. I'm just trying to say, it could be.
I recorded Tiang Valley out of a love for it, for its people, for its environment. I valued it. I wanted to capture every second of it because I knew it was going to be gone. But what if it wasn't? What if it wasn't flooding? What if the world wasn't ending? Would I still nitpick every photo? Would I still make sure to capture the sound of every animal?
Oh, probably not. Yeah.
Value on things when they're gone or are about to be gone. Even if we don't initially...
I know, I'm pausing a lot, but dude, this is why, by the way, it is important. Why struggle, for example, or limitations and stuff like that are important, even though they suck. Because if something is limited by time, for example, like in this case, you value the time you have left a lot more and spend it a lot more wisely than if there wasn't this time limit to it, you know? If the world wasn't going to end, then you probably wouldn't do all these things, and you probably wouldn't experience what you would have experienced if you did it, if that makes sense. I don't know, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to get at. And that's something I had struggled a lot with, and still struggle every now and then, is the fact that putting restrictions on something, making something more difficult, is actually a lot more beneficial to me than it seems at first. It's basically the principle of short-term validation or pleasure versus long-term validation or pleasure or whatever. It's like the easiest thing I can think of to explain this is with food. It feels good to eat shitty food that's really bad for you, but it's short-lived. It's a quick dopamine fucking rush and then it's gone. But it has long-term effects, you know, negative long-term effects. If you only eat McDonald's, you're gonna have very bad long-term effects from that. So instead, you should eat healthy, you know, like salad and vegetables and fruits and all that good stuff. But it doesn't give you this immediate dopamine feeling, that is serotonin stuff, the feeling good, the damn, this is tasty, this is, I don't know, makes me happy. But it gives you exactly that in the long term. It makes you, you know, makes your body healthy, keeps you healthy, and makes sure that everything in your body works the way it should, like with your stomach and, you know, processing the food you ate and shitting it out. Yeah, that's the thing. If you have the choice, let's say if eating, I don't know, McDonald's or something like that would be healthy, but still give you this quick feeling of pure tastiness, then obviously I would eat it every goddamn day. But since it doesn't, since it's unhealthy, you know, I try to limit it, because I don't want to damage my body. I don't want to gain weight and struggle more than is necessary. So yeah, sometimes it's important to restrict something. In this case, limiting yourself from eating unhealthy food too much and balancing it. You know, finding a nice balance between unhealthy food consumption and healthy food consumption. And that's what I'm trying to get at. You know, it would be a lot easier to just say, fuck it, I'm just gonna eat unhealthy food because it tastes good, makes me feel good, but I'd regret it in the long run. Or another example I can think of is gaming. Gaming feels good. It makes me happy. It helps me calm down. It helps me get off my head, get my thoughts off of whatever it is stuck on, and just turn off my brain and have fun and enjoy myself. But I have to limit myself. If I play all day, every day, I feel like shit. And suddenly all this good feeling is starting to sour, and I am damaging everything else in my life at that point because I am not going outside. I'm not meeting with friends. I'm not standing up. I'm just sitting around getting goddamn thrombosis or whatever it's called. And shit like that. So putting in a struggle, like, you know, playing only for an hour a day, it may suck at first, but it is beneficial in the long run. Therefore, you could say that struggling is actually inherently a good thing. And that's what I live by. I tell myself, if it's not difficult, then it's not the right thing to do. It's not the good thing to do. It's the wrong choice. If I struggle, then I know I'm doing something right. Because all good things, unfortunately, all good long-term things and decisions we can make and stuff we can do in life are, for some reason, difficult. Like walking and working out, eating healthy, limiting your sugar consumption, taking care of yourself, practicing something, learning about something new. You know, all that good stuff. It's all difficult, at least to get in at first. But if you do it more often, of course, it gets easier and easier with time. With time. But yeah, so that's what I live by. And I just wanted to share that with you. All good things are difficult. There we go. That's what I discovered and what really helped me embrace, what is it called? I think it's called embracing the suck. Embracing the thing that sucks, which is putting limitations on something. Restricting myself from overconsumption and laziness and whatever. And in return, making it more special and enjoyable. Because if all good things have to end, you're gonna enjoy the things that are going to end a lot more, usually. So yeah, I'm talking in circles. I gotta stop. What is wrong with me? I can't think. What? What?
Really care for them. What is Tiang Valley without the flood? How many other valleys are there with 10 times the population and personality that I haven't explored?
It wouldn't be special.
Because they might still be around when the world forgets. It's the imperfection of memory that's so blissful. A memory can be a perfect representation of what we wanted something to have been, not what it actually was. Tiang Valley is only important because of the flood. The world was only important enough to document on the very last day of its life. What is Tiang Valley without the flood? It's just a valley. We don't know the true value of something until it's gone, but we value it twice as much when it's about to be gone. We get these memories and grip them tight before they inevitably fall out of our grasp.
And that's what I think makes it a sad topic, you know, the topic of trying to be remembered, because the things we value and enjoy and all that good stuff is not, I'd say it's impossible to convey to other people, because everyone is different and we like and dislike different stuff. And so, you know, taking a picture of something you find beautiful might not be interesting to someone else. Either didn't experience it or has no nostalgia for it, like games, again, or movies, old movies and stuff like that. You know, there are some really good ones, and some might not, for example, the movies I like from my time might not be interesting to others, you know, young people these days, the youngsters, simply because they have no nostalgia for it. So even if I showed them the movie, there's no guarantee that they will like it, and it is definitely certain that they are not going to enjoy it as much as I do, because I have nostalgia for it and they don't. So that's why I think documenting that sort of stuff and trying to be remembered is pointless, because we want things to be remembered the way we remember them. But others aren't going. You cannot convey that. That's what I'm trying to say. You cannot properly convey all these things to other people that don't feel about the things you documented in the first place. Did that make sense? I don't know. My brain is scattered. It's exploded. Boom. Explosion! But yeah, that's why I think ultimately this sort of stuff is pointless. It's a waste of time and doesn't need to be documented, because people are not going to feel the way we feel about it. They're gonna feel different about it, right? So instead of running around, you know, taking pictures of the village that's going to disappear, instead, if I was that person, I would spend my time with my family and loved ones and friends in areas I really like, and just, you know, live in the moment. Live in the moment and forget about the struggle for a brief period of time. That's what I would do. Yes.
This was my experience with Season, and it was inspirational in a way. It made me think maybe I shouldn't procrastinate on documenting the world around me before it's gone. So I made an impulsive purchase.
Hell yeah!
Sea, by the beautiful sea, you and I, oh how happy we'll be.
Hell yeah, brother.
The idea of buying an instant camera came from a lot of places, but it was after playing Season that I fully decided to commit to picking one up. One thing you need to know about instant cameras is that the camera itself isn't the commitment, it's the film. Do you want to know how much it costs to buy 40 photos
A lot.
of physical I-type film?
A lot.
I say this with a slight bit of shame. It costs $60 American.
Damn.
You might have just shuddered at how exorbitant that price is. And yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. The price of film is completely unreasonable.
And once again, we have me pausing the video just to point something out that's pretty obvious. But you see, the way I think what's going to happen is, yeah, it is expensive, but he's gonna make it count because of that. And that's why, once again, something negative actually is something positive. In this case, the negative is the high pricing for the low amount of film you get. But since you are paying so much money and get so little for it, you're going to make it count. You're gonna make it worth that amount of money. And this, in return, will benefit, for example, in this case, the pictures he's going to make. They're gonna be a lot more interesting, a lot more beautiful, I can guarantee you that, because of this inherent negative thing of the price point, you know, the price being so high and getting so little for it. You're gonna turn it around. You're gonna take the little stuff you get from that extremely high price and make it worth exactly what you paid or even more, you know, by making sure you don't just, you know, take a picture of a grainy, unadjusted picture of a rock or something like that, and instead make a picture of something you really care about, you know, really putting that time and effort into it. And you only put that time and effort into it because you don't want to waste the money you spent or waste the film you got for that amount of money. So in that case, once again, something negative is actually something positive. It's a positive thing that's disguised as a negative. Yeah, you cannot see the inherent value at first glance. You gotta think around 3 corners or so before you can realize the actual value this supposed negative thing actually gives you. It's like, who would have thought? What? But yeah, I know I'm pointing out the obvious, but that's the, you know, embracing the suck can most of the time lead you to realize that it actually isn't a bad thing. It only feels like a bad thing if you don't really think about it too much. You know, if you look at it from a surface perspective or whatever the saying is. If you look at it from a very shallow frontal position. But once you look a little bit to the side and see what's actually behind it, you realize, damn, it's actually not that bad. That's something, once I realized that, I was hooked. I was hooked on learning more about psychology, how much power we actually have with just our mind, you know? The things we can do just by thinking. And I don't mean like figuring out a solution. I mean like actually, like for example, even if you lie to yourself, let's just say you wake up, stand in front of the mirror and tell yourself that you are great and you deserve to be happy and stuff like that. Even if you don't feel like it and pretty much have to lie to yourself, if you continue doing it, yeah, brain will actually start to internalize it and you will actually feel a lot better about yourself and your self-esteem is going to get better and you're gonna have a more positive relationship to yourself. And that's all by, you know, lying to yourself basically, because at first you don't believe it, but at some point your brain is actually going to think, hold on, I did this many fucking times already, maybe I should commit it to memory and internalize it. So by lying to yourself you can even change the way your brain does something, and that's damn. Think about that, that's damn. That's why you gotta embrace the suck, because your brain is going to realize that it doesn't suck as much as it thought it did. And actually, it might even start to enjoy it. It might actually enjoy the suck. And it's not going to be the suck anymore. It's actually going to be just good shit. Okay. I think I made my point clear. I don't know why I feel the need to talk about it in this much detail. It's the second recording, you know, I had a short break. And I gotta take a break again because I've recorded for 42 additional minutes to the over 30 I had before. God damn it. What is my model doing? Yeah. It does some weird, my model does some weird stuff when I cover half of my face with my hand, for example. When I scratch my nose, look at this. Or if I hold it in front of my half of my face. Damn it, what the fuck is it doing? Oh man. Jesus. Okay, I needed that. God damn it. Alright, but what I'm trying to say is I gotta take a short break again. I'll see you in a second. Alright, so I'm finally back, and once again I had an epiphany while having my vape break, and that epiphany is I figured out how to put everything I just mentioned in the, I don't know, past hour or over an hour of this video in just a couple words. Watch this. It's even a saying that exists. Moderation is key. Too much ain't good, too little ain't good. You gotta find the perfect middle ground, the golden goose, the jizz in the ball sack. Moderation is key. But whenever I heard that saying, I was like, that sounds super. No, why? At first, you just think, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm doing too much, but fuck you, I want to have fun. But actually, what it's telling you is that if you moderate yourself and your behavior and everything, you're gonna live a much more enjoyable life. And that's not apparent from the saying at first. So yeah, I think, like I said, I think everything I explained so far has still some value, which is why I'm going to keep it in. I'll keep my weird ramblings in for you to witness. And I'm gonna sum it up once again with the sentence, moderation is key. And I'm gonna add to it, because moderation is going to make you a happier person. Because struggles usually aren't actual struggles. They just disguise themselves as one, but they actually turn out to be very beneficial. That's it. Let's continue.
Why would anyone in their right mind actually buy and use this thing? But after using the camera, I got it. I understand why people spend so much money on this stuff. Here's why. On a trip to southwestern Europe I took in early 2023, I took 846 photos over the span of 7 days. Have I looked at all of them?
What the hell?
I don't.
Yeah, because they're throwaway stuff.
Buried so deep in my folder that I just never bothered to scroll down there.
And usually they're not that interesting.
A few standout photos. I've never done a proper scroll through of those nearly 1,000 photos ever. There are probably
that's
taken
too much.
Never looked at again. The Polaroid is different though. No matter how insignificant the memory, the very fact I was willing to spend a photo documenting it demonstrates the value of whatever moment I was trying to capture. If a memory was valuable enough to spend a photo on, I know it's not one I'll forget soon. I want to tell you a story of capturing a memory on this thing, and one that I won't soon forget. I found myself in one of those super rich neighborhoods, complete with modern houses that look like something I would build in Minecraft in 2015.
Yeah, me too!
It looked like a fairy tale. And of course, this rich neighborhood had a golf course and a country club. It wouldn't be a rich neighborhood without those. Either way, I wanted to see if I could get any photos.
That's a given.
Myself. But then it started to rain. It started to rain hard, and my camera bag, to my knowledge, was not waterproof. So I took refuge inside of the country club. I was expecting to be denied entrance because, you know, I didn't live there, but surprisingly, the side door opened right up. And in the country club, I saw no one. Literally nobody. The dining area was empty, the bar was empty, the front desk was empty. I wasn't even sure if the place was open or not. I couldn't get on my bike and leave because the Polaroid would get wet and probably stop working. I couldn't call an Uber or call someone to pick me up because I was in a gated neighborhood that I didn't live in.
The pretzels.
Alone in this country club, equipped with nothing but my Polaroid. I explored every inch of this place, the dining area, the bar, the kitchen, the gym, and the whole time I wanted to take pictures, but I knew I could only take so many. I had 7 photos left, and I didn't want to use them all.
Gotta make it count.
The question arose, how do I document right now, this experience, this entire place, in one photo? I couldn't even begin to describe to you how big this place was. So many rooms I felt lost in it, ballrooms bigger on the inside than the outside, long—
And once again, he sparked something inside me. I just realized something. He had to make it count. And how do you— that's the question he's asking, right? How do you sum everything up in just, for example, one picture? This entire huge place in just one picture. And I think that's a very important lesson these things teach us, which is to, you know, instead of just documenting and photographing everything that's pointless and anything, you gotta find the core, you know? something that really tells you everything you need to know about a place, a person, a concept, a skill or whatever, a program, yeah, all the good stuff, and really look at it from a very different perspective than you would usually look at it, you know, which is just not really taking it in. But once you stop and start to take it in, it should actually get quite easy to find this core, and in his case, photograph it, which then will sum up what this place is all about, or what it is, or what... Right? You get what I'm trying to say, right? And that's basically the thing I struggle with, but I tried getting better at it by writing lyrics for my songs and everything, which is you can break down everything I said in just a couple of sentences, but I lack my brain. I lack my brain. No, but I lack the skill. And actually, it is an actual problem I have. Not like a skill I haven't practiced or anything. It's actually a difficulty I have. You know, summing up my thoughts into a concise message or sentence in as little as few words as possible. And I try to use writing lyrics for my songs to practice that, but I quickly realized it does not work. It does not work with me. But if your brain works differently than mine, your key takeaway from what I'm trying to say is really take in something. If you wanna, for example, like he did, take a picture of something in that country club or whatever it was that really describes the place and the way he felt and everything while being in there. In order to do that, you gotta slow down. You gotta take in your surroundings. You really gotta actually look at stuff, you know, not just glancing over it, taking it sort of in passively. Instead, you gotta actively look at it, actually look at it. And that's a really valuable skill to have and to practice, because you can use that idea for pretty much everything. Like I said, you can break down something you want to talk about in as few words as possible and still be able to capture the core idea you're trying to share, right? It's basically what I figured out after my second break, which is that I could have just shortened everything to the sentence of moderation is key. Because in this case, moderation is key as well. That applies to this as well. You know? You gotta find a good perspective in that country club that perfectly encapsulates the core of this place, and you gotta make it count. Moderation. In this case, it's forced moderation, because he does not have infinite amount of film for this Polaroid camera. But in doing so, I can guarantee you he probably managed to do it, right? We'll find out in a second, but I can guarantee you he managed to find the perfect spot and the perfect thing to photograph that encapsulates the core of the place he explored. Because he was forced to actually look at his surroundings, think about it, take it all in actively, not passively, and really make it count with the limited amount of film he had. So let's find out if he did. If he managed to, but I'm pretty sure he did, because that's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you that stuff so you can maybe use it in your own life and achieve happiness. Yes.
Long hallway stretching out for eternity, the remnants and ghosts of people eating in a liminal dining room. I felt the frustration Estelle felt attempting to document an entire season with photos and audio alone. This place, and my experience here, couldn't be summed up in one photo, but all I could do was try. Eventually I took the photo. The rain died down, and I was able to leave. Here it is. The photo is flawed. You might even call it bad. From the looks of it, developed weirdly, likely due to the residual raindrops moistening the corner of my back.
No, I don't think it's bad. Let's say it's not beautiful. But the pictures we saw before, I don't know if he didn't take them, right? Or did he? The other pictures, they were boring. They were just something you'd glance over. While this one, it feels like it has purpose in some weird way. And the strange effects, the camera picture quality and the film, and also, like he said, you know, the residuals from the rain and stuff like that, it gives this a really eerie quality, but also, I don't know, it gives me the feeling that I have an idea what this place might feel like to be in. And that's something the other pictures, for example, did not manage to do. But no, I actually feel deep down that this picture, you cannot make a lot of details out of it because of the distortion and everything, but I think it actually conveys a feeling rather than just, you know, it looks cool or something like that. It's actually conveys a feeling, which is why I said I feel like I get an idea what this place might feel like to be in, because that's the feeling it conveys. And take it with a grain of salt, but I think that's what you can achieve if you do something purposely, you know? Instead of just taking 20 pictures in a row, you instead limit yourself, and this inherent limiting of your ability to do something is going to actually benefit the outcome of whatever you're trying to achieve. And I think this picture of which he took is a proof, because I like it. I actually do. I gotta make this very clear. I know it probably sounds like I'm grasping at straws or anything at this point, but no, I actually think it's a good picture, even though, like I said, it's blurry. It's kind of the light on the left is way too bright, and the shadows on the right are way too low. It also has a greenish tint on the right side, and on the left side more orange tint. And the subject is not in focus. In this case, the subject would be the table with the chairs. So there are definitely like fundamental rules of what makes a good, quote-unquote, good photograph that are being broken here. But it still works. It still actually works. Now, if you slap a title on it, you could use this as a album cover. While the other pictures before, there wasn't something like that you could use for that purpose, because the other ones, they were, you know, just purposeless, right? They're just like the fast food variant of pictures. Like this one has purpose. It has purpose, it has intention, and it comes across clearly through the picture itself. And that's very interesting. And that's something I had to learn for myself as well while making music, because I made a picture that was kind of similar like this, but instead indoors, it was outdoors, and it was really kind of eerie, but also interesting to look at, because it was a really strange place. If you want to look it up, it's actually I'm gonna put it in here in this video. It's the cover for my rap EP called Cursed. And the picture I took, I'm not a good photographer or anything, but I think it looks really cool because I had purpose, you know. I didn't just photograph random stuff. I saw this and photographed it, even with my phone. So it's not even with my good camera. And everything just worked because I added, you know, with an intention, with an idea I wanted to convey, rather than something I did later in some of my other album covers, which is just repurpose something I already had that kind of fit the vibe. You can definitely tell the difference. The Cursed has a more intentional approach to the cover, and I'm trying to think some of the other pictures. Also on Deaf Ears, I would say, looks pretty cool, considering, you know, that I'm a complete amateur when it comes to photography and stuff like that, because I had a vision and I tried to commit that vision to a picture. And then I got like Red, for example, my Red album. I didn't know what to do as a cover for that, so I just decided, you know, okay, I'm gonna use different shades of red and maybe some shapes, I don't know. And it looks exactly like that. It looks like an afterthought, not something I really thought about much while doing it. And it is true. It is true. It actually, that is what was happening back then. So yeah, I definitely can see also in my work what a difference it makes how you approach something and really dig into it, you know, not just do it like I did with my Red album, which was like, I'm gonna wing it. I'm gonna see, maybe I'll think of something or not, maybe, I don't know. Instead, I went at the Cursed EP cover or the On Deaf Ears cover. I went at it with a goal in mind, a specific feeling I wanted to convey, and I think they turned out great. And that really shows that intention can actually have a good effect on whatever you're trying to do, basically.
Bag I let it develop in. It completely overexposed the windows, though I set it that way, otherwise it would be completely underexposed and dark. Despite all of this photo is more powerful to me than anything high-res I could have taken.
Exactly.
It doesn't look like a photo to me. This photo looks like a memory. It has all the imperfections, all the rough edges, all the blurriness of remembering. It feels like if you dug into my mind and pulled out the experience I had in that destitute country club in the rainfall, this is what you would find.
It is kind of liminal.
Of every single room, all perfect. You probably wouldn't even find what the outside world looked like. But you would find something like this. An imperfect memory. How blessed am I?
And it also sparks the imagination.
This is a memory, and I will hold on to it close. It took 846 images of Europe to barely remember the things that happened outside of those photos.
Damn.
One, to capture the essence of those moments spent in that country club. And I don't think any digital camera could have done that for me.
Yeah. Yeah, not only that, but also, like I said, that limiting yourself and everything.
Documenting the world with pictures is with writing. And I'm not talking about history books, which usually give biased accounts from a bird's eye view of a situation in the past. No, I'm talking about the views and notes of an individual, a real person who existed during a particular time.
I find that interesting too.
A journal. Journaling
Because
is
it's
one
very
way to
personal.
tell people of the past. People can journal for a variety of reasons: mental health, a record to keep of themselves, or just as a fun hobby. But I think one of, if not the main reason people journal, is to remember. Our memory is imperfect. I can't tell you the story of every day I've experienced or the finer details of every exciting thing that has ever happened to me. Even photos are taken out of context and don't reflect the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Which is why a journal is so helpful at getting to know the past. I've been one.
And understanding the person who wrote it.
A quick warning. This section contains many very embarrassing pages from my journals throughout elementary and middle school. Be advised, you might cringe a lot. I know I do. So, here we go.
And I gotta pause again, because I did some journaling too. I mainly used it back in the day when I was depressed and stuff like that. I had used it as a way to blow off steam, so to speak off. And back then I found a journal entry I made during a really tough time, the worst probably time in my life, where I was actually psychotic, which was mainly because of the medicine I got. That was, it's like Ritalin, but I don't know the English name, so I don't know. But it is in the same vein of Ritalin and stuff like that. And it worsened my psychotic symptoms to the point of actual depersonalization. And I completely forgot about everything I went through in that time. And when I found that journal entry, I realized how crazy I was at that time. I did not remember it that way. I didn't remember it at all, but reading that, like, it really fucked up my mind, because I realized, damn, I really wasn't aware of what was going on in my life back then because of the psychotic, I'd say psychotic break, but it's not really a break, like a good moment being crazy, damn! No, but it's like more gradual. But yeah, and the journal entry I made really showed me a side I did not even realize back then for myself, you know. I wrote stuff like, I'm convinced that there are two me's. One is my body, and one is sitting inside my head, looking outside my eyes, and stuff like that. And just hearing that and reading how convinced I was, you know, that I was convinced. I didn't even question it. Usually when I think of something that sounds kind of implausible or crazy, I question it to, you know, try to figure out if it's the truth or not. But, back then, I was so psychotic that I did not question it. I believed 100% that was the truth, and that I was running on autopilot, and the world is conspiring against me and shit like that. It was insane, because before I read that, I just remembered that I, you know, felt depressed in that time and nothing else. And reading that journal entry really showed me something my brain kind of forgot for some reason. And that's why I think journaling is a very powerful thing, because it really gives you an insight, not just on something that happened, but instead also how the person that it happened to experienced it, and how that person describes it gives you a picture of what this personality of the person is and everything. And that's why I find that a lot more interesting than history books or anything like that, because history books are so detached from the life people lived back then, while a journal entry is like a real raw look into a person's life in a time period that person was alive in. And that's, to me, infinitely more interesting.
When I was 8 years old, I began writing in a journal/diary of my own, and I was inspired by the book series Diary of a Wimpy Kid. It's a classic for many.
Yeah, it inspired me too back in the day.
And I remember knowing kids who, after reading the entire series, thought about starting their own diary in the same vein. Many of those people would get a couple of pages in during one good session of writing, stop,
and then gave up.
never pick it up again.
Yeah.
I began writing in a journal
Oh, okay.
in preparation for a trip to Tennessee when I was 8 years old, and I simply never stopped. These old journals from my elementary school times are a strange artifact for me, because they're memories of things I would have normally forgotten. Much like Season, the memories of much of my early life have been crystallized and put into a medium that is impossible to replicate with memory alone. I don't know why I didn't stop at the first few pages like so many other kids my age. I don't know why I continued for 8 years. I never particularly enjoyed writing my life in a journal. I was never good at drawing, but even at that age, I had a fervent desire to remember these times. I never wrote for my own enjoyment. I distinctly remember, even at only 8 years old, only writing so that maybe one day I could look back, and these times might not be forgotten forever. The person I was as an 8-year-old is a different person from who I am now.
It's very interesting that he felt like that
Every drawing
back then as a kid.
like to be that age, I saw in my past self a distinct fear of being forgotten. A fear that one day I would grow up, and the person I was then, and the people I knew, and the memories I made right now might all be forgotten. And maybe I can halt that a little longer. And I still haven't grown out of that yet. I'm still journaling every day. I'm still writing about each memory I make, no matter how insignificant, simply because I don't want to forget. But I didn't know at the time that it was impossible.
That's really interesting.
Someone who hasn't even graduated elementary school document an entire section of their life like that. That thought began to appear after a certain age. It was as daunting as Estelle attempting to capture the essence of an entire season in a scrapbook. But before that, I wrote not knowing that there were things I could never remember. And I think that's why journals 1 through 3 are the most interesting for me. They are the story of my life between the ages of 8 to 10 years old, totaling 457 pages of drawings, writing, emotions, thoughts, feelings, and memories.
That's a lot.
They are important to me because they represent a time where I wanted to remember everything and really thought that I could. The first 3 were so imperfect. Details I remembered just not mentioning, stories completely exaggerated, straight up lies in some cases. Unsurprisingly, 8 to 10-year-old me isn't exactly a reliable narrator. There are some pages worn out, some pages with handwriting so bad I couldn't even hope to read them. But in these pages, I found so much personality. There are many memories in these first 3 books that I had completely forgotten until I went back and read them for this video, so I guess it served its purpose. But something else was captured in these books that weren't the raw memories I had kept stored away. It was a child that doesn't exist today. A child hoping a new, older version of himself would care to look back on what his life was all about. The new one has some of the things the old one had, some memories, definitely grew out of that old person. But through the imperfect scribbles and scrawls on each paper, I saw a child knowing he wouldn't stay this age forever, desperate not to be forgotten. That child was me.
That's insane that he was so kind of aware of what's going to happen in a way later down in his life, which, you know, is normal. We all grow up at some point and forget a lot about the past. And he took precautions to make sure that the memories he experienced, you know, don't go forgotten, you know. And that's very interesting to hear that he was this far ahead with how he viewed the future and himself and life itself, basically, at such an early age. Because I remember when I was around that age, I made comics. I drew comics, and even before that and after, being eight years old, that was pretty much my outlet. And I drew comics and wrote stories and stuff like that. And it's interesting because him and I were basically polar opposites, it seems, back then as a kid. Because he wrote all these journal entries and made these drawings and everything to remember in the future, remember what it was like being him as a child and the stuff he experienced. And I did the exact opposite. I drew comics and everything and wrote my stories in them specifically to try and forget what it was like being a kid back then, because I struggled a lot in my childhood and I always tried to escape reality. That's why I started drawing comics and making up my own stories, which were inspired by my actual life, but really embellished, and everything's more positive and cool and everything, and doesn't suck as much as reality actually sucked back then. And well, later down that line, I stopped making comics and stuff like that, because back then I found my new way to escape reality, which was gaming. I got a PlayStation and I got really hooked. I gotta admit, at some point I was definitely addicted to video games, because for me it was an escape from my reality. It was my way of living a life that's more enjoyable to me, something I wished would have been my actual life, but well, life isn't a video game. So it was basically the comics and the games were my attempt to escape reality and forget about my, at that time, current life, while he actually did the exact opposite. So yeah, it's very interesting to see that we are actually the exact opposite in that regard. Did not expect it, and I'm really surprised also how much of a grip on reality he actually had even as a child, which is crazy. It's crazy. But that's mainly, it seems crazy to me that someone at such a young age already kind of understood, you know, life in that regard to such an extent, because, well, I did the exact opposite. I did not try to understand life. I wanted to escape it. And so, yeah, I think that makes sense why it seems mind-blowing to me that he was this far ahead in terms of thinking as a child already, while I was, well, running away from my life, basically. Yeah. Damn! And god damn it, it's been another 40 minutes. Jesus, what is my problem? Okay, I'm gonna take a quick break, and then we're gonna lock in and finish this video, and I'm not going to keep yapping, okay? Alright, I'm back, and no new insight after my vape break. I'm starting to reach my limit of what my brain is able to deal with when it comes to all my yapping, because believe it or not just you are tired of me yapping. Actually, I feel tired from my own yapping as well. That's, yeah, it really feels like I can't think anymore. I already I used up all my brain power. So before it runs out completely, let's finish this video. And I'm gonna lock in AceoX. And if I pause, then I'm gonna keep it short and concise. Remember that, AceoX. Remember that? Remember that inside your small penis, because your brain does not work right now. So use the penis brain instead. Note to self, by the way, motherfucker.
These imperfections made the journal mine, but they don't belong to me.
Yeah.
They belong to and are the stories of a kid who hasn't existed for
His past self.
now, trying to
Yeah.
make his journal as cool and as interesting as possible so that maybe one day the world wouldn't forget who he was. That one day his future self wouldn't forget he existed. It's not the story of me. All 10 journals are the stories of a me that no longer exists, documented not through my head, but through a tangible but ultimately mistake-ridden medium. And sometimes that kid would hit me with a truck of nostalgia. I remember that thing I did. I remember being accused of that. I remember that birthday. The books are filled with memories like that, stored in a way so unintentionally misguided I almost find them brilliant. I flip to a page and I'm on an overnight school trip. I flip to another and I failed a test. I flip to another and I've graduated middle school. I've never read these journals in full chronological order. Instead, I pick them up, flip to a random page, and just remember. I flip page by page until I've memorized the entire thing without even reading it from front to back. And yet there are still pockets I'm sure I haven't discovered, places I simply have yet to flip to. These pages, looked upon when they were written and never again, do undoubtedly exist in my journals, memories waiting to be discovered. I discovered, at the very back of my second journal, hidden right after the so-called credits, a place where for years I thought was the end, was actually hiding a list of signatures from all of my friends and all the people I mentioned in my journal. People I know.
Damn, that's cool.
But people who exist as crystallized memories in my journals. In my third journal, I got some of my friends to write their own stories down. None of them were very long, and yet it almost feels wrong. It feels wrong that I own a piece of their past. It feels like I took something from them, that someone else will never remember an event because of me. And yet here they are, and here I am remembering for them. As a collective, all of my journals are just memories waiting to be discovered. By an older version of myself, sure, but also maybe by someone else. One day, when there isn't a new version of myself to precede the previous, when I pass on, maybe someone, a grandchild, a great-grandchild, a stranger 100 years into the future, may discover my crystallized memories, and those past versions of myself will finally be able to stop holding on and pass away in peace, knowing that they were remembered.
Damn, that's a beautiful thought.
The experience of flipping through my old journals reminds me of something. They remind me of another game, a game where each life event is similarly condensed into brief instances until they summarize the whole. I'm talking about the game Before Your Eyes. The first thing you need to know about the game Before Your Eyes is it's a game controlled by your blinks. You set up your webcam and the game can tell when you blink, and any input you have on the those blinks alone. Now I know that might sound weird, but hear me out. It's not a game with any gameplay. All you do is blink to progress a story. A story I will not be spoiling. This part won't spoil the story of Before Your Eyes whatsoever.
Damn, I'd skip over everything accidentally. I blink a lot.
It's a game about living the life of a person through the messy lens of memory. Every time you blink, the game switches from one scene to another in the future. I can't separate the feeling of playing Before Your Eyes from the feeling of randomly flipping through my old journals. The scenes in Before Your Eyes are as incomplete as my journals. Much like real memory, you can only see the main parts.
I like that. I like that not having to go through a story chronologically, instead just experiencing independent moments without much context surrounding it, and just experience it as a bubble instead of everything around it, everything that happened before and after. Instead, just having these short bubbles of memories of someone or something is very interesting to me. So maybe I'll try out the game, because it seems like that's right up my alley. And now I'm gonna shut up. Shut up, Aceox! Keep it short.
Never anything specific. There's a persistent black void around a lot of the finer details. Sometimes scenes go on so painfully long that you just can't help but blink. Another time you'll go into a new memory and sneeze accidentally, immediately ripping it away from you before you can relive it. I've ripped out pages of my journal because they were so embarrassing. Only
me too. I destroyed a lot.
Where those lost pages are, I have no clue. I've likely blinked myself out of several potential memories I would have had now. And I think it's those kinds of details that make Before Your Eyes so appealing to me. It was like peering into someone else's journal, one that was identical to mine in structure.
Yeah.
Every blink was a flip of the page. I never quite knew how long into the future I was going or exactly where I would end up, but I still flipped. Before Your Eyes is different from my journals.
Yeah.
I won't pretend like it's the exact same. It takes you not...
Oh, but the core idea is probably the same.
You must strain yourself just to remember. It'd be like if I only had 15 seconds to examine every page of my journal before it disappeared completely, and I flipped to the next one. Before Your Eyes is all about wanting to remember, but you know that no matter how much you stay here for, no matter how much you don't want to go, you know that you will eventually blink, and it'll be gone. The game itself seems to hate that you have to leave each moment, telling you, begging you, stay here, stay now. But of course you can't. No matter how much you want to stay in this comfortable little moment forever, you must leave. The present
At some
moment
point
is
you gotta accept
we have. And yet it can be
it ends
so easily. Let me ask you this. How much do you really remember? I find that even with my journal,
not a lot.
if you look at my life as a whole, I don't remember much.
Yeah,
I spent a
same
sizable
here.
amount of time in school, hours in class waiting for the bell to ring. Every school day always felt the same. Even though the time I spent during the 4th grade was documented, I would be hard-pressed to tell you any specific details. Every day just blended together with some standout moments I remember only through my journal. The knowledge of what I would have forgotten if not for this journal is melancholic for me, because all it reminds me of is the things I haven't written down, the things I have truly forgotten. In Before Your Eyes, all of your education is relegated to a handful of moments in school. Every time I go to school now, I wonder to myself if I'll even remember any of this, if anything I do today even matters, if the version of myself that exists now is doomed to be forgotten. And I always come to the same conclusion. If I don't try to document it carefully, nor does anything particularly interesting happen, I probably won't remember. And it's like this for 95% of the days. Will you remember this video?
Acceptance.
Will you remember this day? Will you remember what screen you're watching this on in 30 years' time? Or what genre of YouTube video you preferred? I don't think I will. And I doubt you will either. Before Your Eyes showed me this in a way I desperately needed to see. Before Your Eyes gives you spontaneous moments, sure, a brief rush of excitement. But for every exhilarating moment, there are 10 of pure living. Not the parts you remember distinctly, just the present moment at its fullest. Lots of bubble baths and car rides and building furniture. It's not a game about the exciting memories. It's a game about the importance of the present, the value of all those moments you will never remember, those moments you are living right now. Before Your Eyes told me to embrace them, so that maybe I could remember a little bit more. So often I see people reminiscing about how much better childhood was and how they long to go back to these simpler times. You see it all the time with various nostalgia-based videos, Minecraft OSTs, 90s toys, ads from the 2000s. People want to stay here. They want to cling to the past no matter how inevitable moving on is. And it's in this desire to stay in the past that people don't realize just how much of the present they're blinking through. It's hard to realize that in 10 years from now, you'll probably feel the same way about right now as you felt for those moments in the past you refused to let go. But the difference is, you are here right now. So hold on to it. Everything done must be forgotten. Nobody can escape forgetting. No con man, no child, no millionaire, no ruler. Everything built will be destroyed. Given enough time, we will all forget. It's easy to fall into despair knowing this fact, but I feel like our attempts to remember aren't in vain. I know it's weird, considering one day these memories too will be forgotten. One by one, each of my 10 journals will surely no longer exist. They might outlive me, sure, but they won't live forever. But there still is this desire, this thing that I long for. I want to remember. I want to remember the present. I don't want the version of myself writing this right now to no longer exist. It's why even at a young age I wrote in journals. It's why I was so drawn to Season. It's why I love Polaroids so much. At times it can feel hopeless, like remembering everything is completely impossible. And maybe it is. Maybe you'll never get back the feeling of right now. Maybe you can't capture it in text or pictures or audio. Maybe you'll try anyway. And maybe that's okay. In our digital world, the desire to remember is at an all-time high, simply because the lifespan of things has increased so much.
Yeah, it's insane.
Things are being forgotten less and less because we have the utilities to remember now. But when one is so desperate to capture a moment, a story, a life event, they forget to actually live it. They forget to be present right now. They lose it. I know I've had the experience, being so caught up in remembering something in the future that I forgot to experience it in the present. I doubt I'm
living in the past is
capturing a video of something cool that they forgot
problematic.
to experience it. We should all collectively learn to experience the present moment, because when you ignore it, it leaves you that much quicker. And what are you left with besides imperfect memories? The desire to remember and be remembered is important, but you don't live in the past or the future.
I think also the compulsive need to document everything is to a detriment of the person who is documenting everything, because while you might think, for example, going to a concert and recording it is going to give you have this memory you're not going to forget because it's recorded, right? But what you actually neglect at that point is actually just being in the moment and experiencing the concert yourself. You know, being there in person, taking it all in, living in the here and now, and just enjoying yourself. You know, documenting stuff is cool. But there we go. Once again, we circle back to moderation is key. Because if it prevents you from living in the present, then that's not a good thing. You gotta always remind yourself to live in the here and now and experience and take in everything that happens. Even if you forget it. Even if it's going to be just a footnote in your memory in the future or something like that. It doesn't matter. As long as you live in the here and now and enjoy it, you are winning. You are winning. You are losing if you are not living in the here and now, because you're gonna miss out on all that stuff. Even if you record everything that happens, if you're not actively participating in just taking it all in and experiencing the experience, then you're really doing a disservice to yourself, in my opinion. And that's why I think moderation is key. Enjoy while it lasts, and remember to always move forward. Don't try to move backwards. Don't try to stand still. Always move ahead. I personally like to think as life as a road. You know, alongside the road are things that happen, people, buildings, areas to explore. And if I go backwards, I'm going to keep retreading the ground I already walked past, experience the same things I experienced in the past, and it's going to get progressively more boring and predictable because I already know what happened. If I try to run through the Gotham streets as fast as I can to get to the future as quickly as possible, I'm gonna miss out on everything that's on that road. I might see some of it running past it, but I'm not giving myself a chance to experience it. You know, I'm not slowing down. I'm not experiencing whatever happens or whoever I meet or whatever I see, because I'm so focused on trying to figure out what happens, you know, later down the road. So instead, I try to really visualize this idea so that I can instead focus on being in the moment. I can look back every now and then. I can move a little bit faster when I get to a point that's kind of boring, kind of a slog to get through. But mostly I focus on walking down that road in a comfortable pace and experiencing everything that there is to experience to the utmost degree I can. And I believe that way of doing that stuff will leave you with no regrets later down the road. So do that. Visualize it. Really visualize life as a journey. You know, it's not about the destination. It's not about where you started or the things you've already experienced. It's about experiencing right here, right now. So enjoy it. Enjoy it. Yes.
You are in the present moment. You live right now.
Yes.
Not everybody can say that.
Yeah. That's why it's even more important to carry on. Very nice. All right. I'm waiting, but it looks like there's nothing else. So, there we go. I'm sorry. I talked a lot. I paused a lot, and I rambled a lot. I yapped a lot. I said a lot of random stuff, and probably half of it I did not manage to properly convey. But it does not matter. We have reached the end of the video, and it was a really great video. He said this is one of the videos he's really proud of, and he really enjoyed making. And I can definitely tell, because damn, the passion, I can feel it. I did not expect this video to go to the places it did, like for example the journal entries he made as a kid, and that's really surprising and really cool. And also the stuff with the Polaroid. It's really, I feel like this video is a very personal video for Crescendex, and it's really damn interesting. So yeah, first of all, thank you Crescendex for recommending this video. I really enjoyed it. I think the fact that I talked over 2 hours for a 31-minute long video speaks volumes to my enjoyment. It really, a lot of these concepts really tickled my imagination, and I just couldn't help myself to talk about the new findings I discovered or rediscovered whenever that triggered something in me. So yeah, it definitely a really good video. I really enjoyed it. I'm excited to see what else he has in store for us. I saw on his channel he has quite a lot of videos, so there's definitely a lot we can still react to. And I really gotta applaud Crescendex here for a second, because I really like his videos. They're really well done, they're really well worded, and the concepts he touches on are exactly what I like. And the way he does it is really unique, I think. Very unique to what I've seen on YouTube so far. So yeah, good job, Crescendex. Keep up the good work. It's really well done. Your videos are really well done. So, my brain is fried. I talked way too much, and now I can't think properly. I've been staring at the screen, trying to think of a way to build a sentence, and it looks like I'm having a lot of trouble doing so. So let's just end this video right here. Like always, go into the video description, click the first link in the video description under the credits tab to get the original video by Crescendex. Leave him a like, leave him a comment, tell him, bro, I will remember you. I will remember you, and I will cherish the memories I made seeing your videos, hearing your thoughts, and everything else. I'm gonna keep that with me and remember it randomly throughout my life. Thank you. Hashtag very cool. Hashtag very cool. Tell him that. And subscribe to him, obviously. He definitely deserves it. He puts a lot of effort into his videos, and I feel like I can really tell that he's very passionate about these topics. So that's a rarity nowadays. So definitely subscribe to him if you like what you saw. And in my comment section down below, tell me what you want me to react to next. But try to tell me a video title or something specific, because if it's about a topic I'm not familiar with, I don't know what to look for. I don't know what's good and what isn't. So yeah, you gotta help me out a little bit, right? And I'm definitely going to react to more Crescendex videos, because I really like this. I like the idea of combining video games and specific themes in a video. And in this one, we also additionally got something very personal from him, like the Polaroid and the journal entries and everything. So yeah, that's right up my alley. So definitely going to react to more Crescendex's videos. If you don't tell me what to react to, I'm just gonna do it myself. I'm gonna pick out a random video I think looks or sounds interesting and just give it a try. Yeah, so tell me which one you prefer, and I'm happy to oblige either way. This has been the Small Penis Man. Small Penis Man out. You know, philosophy is cool and all, but what I also like are cosmic entities. As you might not know this, I am the late descendant of a cosmic entity that is known for its small penis. I know it sounds crazy, but that's how you know. I am a descendant of a cosmic entity, because we are crazy, we make you crazy, we are beyond your comprehension. That's why my penis is so small, you cannot even start to comprehend its size. That's how small it is. Think about that. Think Think about that, really think about that. And then tell me that you love small penises. Because if you don't, I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna find you and send Cthulhu to your house, man. And he's gonna destroy your city, and you're gonna be sorry that you don't like small penises. That's the truth. That's the truth, man. I'm spitting truth bombs, man. Like, yeah. So worship those small penises, or we're gonna have a problem. We're gonna have a problem otherwise. Bye.